Today we're talking Google Ads for a solo niched practice, whether or not you should do them or just ignore them.
Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in.
Alrighty, friends, this one's going to be one of those episodes where I use the beloved term therapists love of it depends. And it's not because I want to use it, but because it is the truth. And also there's choice here. So we're going to talk about Google Ads and whether or not you should do them if you are a small niche practice. I'm just going to approach this as any practice owner because I have a specific list of like why it might be fitting for you. And I'm also just going to speak to the organic versus paid, etc. So here's the thing. I teach and I love SEO. SEO is free organic reach. So you show up on Google for the things that people are searching for $0. That's SEO. I am a huge, and also if we're going to go ahead, I'll dive down into AI search, and coming up in AI search requires SEO work. So I will always say that you should invest time, like quit saying like, I'll get to SEO when I'm going to get to it. Like I genuinely don't enjoy that just because I'm like, you will want SEO to be working for you from day one. But the biggest thing is people say like, I wish I invested time in SEO. And SEO takes time. So the day that you need things to be working and you need to move away from just word of mouth referrals, it's too late for SEO. Now you need to wait another 6 months. So at least. So it's one of those things where, yes, SEO always needs to come first. Organic reach should always come first. Organic search results and like maximizing your organic search results should always come first. And if you're interested, in doing Google Ads while that's happening, we'll talk about that in a second, but like, I just need people to understand that Google Ads is not a replacement for SEO and it never will be. And Google Ads are just simply an amplifier and it's something that can be used strategically if and when you need it. But it's not something that's going to replace your SEO or help your organic reach. So just recognize that if you run Google Ads, that's not going to help you come up on Google organically any faster or any higher. Like that's not helping you at all. And 110%, I do not think that every person needs to run Google Ads. Like the biggest thing that I wanted to happen when I learned Google Ads was I didn't want to be like, okay, now that I know Google Ads, I think every single client I work with needs to run Google Ads because that's not true. And I don't think everyone needs to run Google Ads, especially if you're ranking at the top of search results for your high ticket keywords. Like you don't need to run Google Ads if that's the case. And there can be value in coming up in the ad section as well as organic search results. It won't hurt you, but it's not one of those things where you have to. And if you don't come up in the ad section, that means that you're not going to be found ever. Like that's definitely not the case. So it's one of those things where I don't want you to walk away from this episode or any of the content that I create and say, well, I think that, you should do Google Ads and that I'm telling business owners that they need to run Google Ads because I actually don't think that's the case at all. I would say every business owner needs to invest time and money and resources into SEO. And when I say time and money and resources, I just mean like investing the time to actually do the thing, right? Because it's actually free to come up in all the search results when it comes to SEO. But for when you talk about like, what do I actually want and long-term benefit, coming up for free is a lot better than coming up for Google Ads. So, all right, with that being said, what you need to take away from that is like organic reach and organic search and SEO, that needs to be a priority, okay? But let's talk about ads. So here's the thing. When it comes to Google Ads, I'm going to tell you 4 reasons in which I believe Google Ads could be run. Still, does not have to be, but 4 instances where they could be helpful to you. So number 1, your SEO is dialed in and you still have capacity. So if you're already bringing in patients organically via Google search, but you have the room for more patients because for whatever reason you have more, ads could amplify what's already working for you. So you could run the ads, they could amplify and bring in more leads because it will get people who are just outside of what you might be optimizing for SEO and then bring in more patients. Okay, so your SEO is dialed in and you still have capacity. Number 2 is you just hired a new clinician. So when it comes to hiring a new clinician, a 1 to 2 week wait list is likely not enough to fill a new person's schedule. And ads can get you in front of more people faster while the word of mouth situation catches up. So if you just hired a new clinician, you could run Google Ads to bring in more people faster and amplify that organic search you already have. Number 3, you're in a competitive market. So if you're in a bigger city, you're a newer practice, you are going to be fighting organic search results against clinics that have been there for years. And ads could put you at the top of search results while your organic presence and SEO builds. So you can start to come up in search at least somewhat. So you have a chance, right? Because if someone searches physical therapy and you're position 50, well, that kind of sucks. You're never going to get chosen, right? You're position 50. But if you're in a competitive market, bigger city, and you want to come up for those search terms while you work on your SEO at the same time, then Google Ads can be a good choice. Number 4, you want to test the ROI on running ads. Like, plain and simple, if you have the budget and you want to see what happens, cool. So at $5 to $10 a day per campaign, one new patient can cover the cost of ads, and then that one patient refers others. So the ROI would then go beyond the first visit, of course. So with that, it's like, do you have the money to test it? Now, I actually don't say that the next one is a reason you could run an ad, because I think it's actually kind of BS, and I don't think it should, again, I don't think this should be a substitute for doing the work of SEO. But another way that you could use Google Ads or might choose to run Google Ads is if you decide that you want to rank for a keyword before you rank for it organically. So I had said, like, if you're in a competitive market, but there are times where if you're not in a competitive market and you want to rank for a keyword before you do the organic work, the SEO work, you could use a Google ad to do so. And also if you have a service that is not your primary service. So I'm going to use a very specific example. If you have a physical therapy clinic and you start a yoga studio inside your physical therapy clinic, and it becomes like a blended practice, if you will, and you want to rank for yoga studio, you could run Google ads for the yoga studio side because your website is so well known for physical therapy. Adding the yoga studio side is actually going to be like starting from scratch SEO wise. So you still need to build that SEO. And in the interim, if you want to come up for yoga studio near me or yoga studio, your town, yoga studio, you could run Google ads for that thing again, while you're working on the SEO side and coming up organically. Because again, that's not necessarily the reason that I gave of you're in a competitive market. It's just a reason that you're in a market where you're not currently coming up in search and you want to come up in search for that thing, which then I want you to extrapolate that a little bit more. If you're a physical therapy clinic who adds pelvic health, you could run ads for pelvic health physical therapy while you're building your SEO for pelvic health physical therapy. So you're still coming up in search, because coming up in search at all is better than not coming up at, coming up position 55,000. But it doesn't mean, and I think this is where it's like, I'm going to talk about this in a second, but it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get chosen. So those are the reasons why you could run Google ads as a small niche practice. And again, Google ads are not necessarily important for everyone. And I also will say that there are people who don't need to run ads because they're just fine. Like I'm thinking about one of my clients. She listens to my podcast. She does a monthly coaching call with me, and she'll know who she is when she hears this. And I hope she knows how proud I am of her. But she is in a space where she is full. She's full. She has a full schedule for weeks. She is booking into August, and she doesn't need to work on her SEO because she has I actually don't even know. We haven't done like a full assessment of where she's ranking SEO wise. So she could be number 1 for all we know, but she has a big enough word of mouth referral practice and past clients that it's just her, and she has no plans on hiring. She wants it to stay just her. She has a wait list. She basically said like, I'm not accepting new patients, period. And, she's in a spot where like, she doesn't need to do anything. She doesn't need to put the effort into the Google ads or any of this stuff because she already has it on lockdown. And that's one of those things where in the realm of marketing, and like I'm a big proponent of SEO, I could say to her like, and we talk about this, like you might want to prep yourself for the future SEO wise, because it's nice to come up in search and it's nice to build credibility online for various reasons. So that might be something you want to work on in the time that you're not treating or time that you set aside to work on that specific thing. Like absolutely, you might want to do that. And that's not for now, but for what's going to come later or what might happen later, right? When we need more time, we need more people to find us via Google or what have you. But in the immediate time and immediate future, she doesn't need to do that stuff. So if I were being, a little pushy with anyone who's in that situation, I would say now is the perfect time to work on the things, organic search, so SEO, etc., so that you're prepped in the future for anything that could potentially happen. Not saying that it's going to, but if you needed to expand your reach on Google, you'll already have a good base. And now's a great time to do it because you're in a spot where you don't have to market. And that's great. Like I was definitely in that spot with the clinic that I owned as well. Like we didn't have to market. The schedules were always full. We were not out and about in the community a bunch because like we had done that in the beginning. I had maximized SEO for pelvic health and like it didn't really need to be done, which was such a blessing. And those times are the times where we tend to like sit back and chill. And I do think that partially we should put a little fire underneath our butt to keep going and prep ourselves for the future. So investing in SEO. But again, notice how I did not say running Google ads and running SEO now so that you don't need to run any sort of Google ad later. So at the end of the day, it's always going to be up to you. I gave you some specific reasons of why you might want to run them and why it doesn't make sense. And also why SEO still needs to be the top of your priority list. And I will never change that as far as like my opinion goes. I will never say like, yeah, I think that, Google ads are better than SEO. Like, absolutely not. I will never tell you that you should spend your money before doing something for free. That sounds crazy. You should always prove it organically before you pay for it. So when we have that organic proof, SEO, we can put some ads behind it. And then there are some situations that I just mentioned where you could be running ads in the interim while you're building up your SEO. And just understand that Google ads are not going to help your organic position. They're not going to help your rank on Google. They will put you in the first position artificially because you're paying them money. And that's the end of it. Okay. If you have questions, happy to answer them. I also have a Google Ads course that I released for beta testing last month, and I have some folks going through it right now. The beta test will be, their coaching call is in July. So after that, I'll have some information on whether or not I want to continue offering that beta as a true course. And if not, then, well, it'll just go straight in the trash and I'll just have offered it once. But if you want to be on the list to be notified about that course when it does release, if it releases, I'll put a link in the show notes just in case. Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.